Welcome to part 2 of You Got This Sweater. I am so excited to get you to this point. We are knitting up our first sleeve, and I'll show you how to do your increases and get you to a point where you start attaching it to the rest of the body. I have my knit stitch markers here, so as I do an increase, I mark it with a knit stitch marker, and then I count the rows in between each increase row. It helps me keep track of everything. So with this increase, I cast on 18 stitches. You do the crossover between the first and last stitch. Knit 1, purl 1 for the ribbing. Then before I do my first increase row, I knit a plain stockinette stitch all the way around, and then I do my first one. This marker helps me keep track of where I want to make my increases. So I like to have these 3 stitches right here. I like them in between my increases. So I'll put an increase here, and then I'll put an increase right there. So here's knit, then knit another stitch. I am going to make one left, and that means that I will go to the bottom row with this stitch here below this top one, and then I'm going to make one. So I will put my needle through, grab it. I don't know if you can see that. Needle through, grab it, then bring it through, and then I will knit, continue to knit around to the rest of the stitches. Right, the first increase I made one left, and now I'm going to make one right. So I have these 2 left, and I am going to knit this one, and then go to the stitch below this and put my needle up through, grab the yarn, and bring it on through. Then I knit my last stitch, and then move my marker over, and then for 4 other rows, I'm going to do just plain stockinette stitch around. Just knit everything right up. And what you will achieve, how many increases you need, are a total of 18 increases. So by the end of your 18 increases, you will have a total of 36 stitches. So because I made one on this row, here, let me get to the end like that. This is how I keep track of how many increase rows I've done. So I've made an increase right there. So I put that there, and then you basically would count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase row, and then you would do another 4 rows and then put a knit stitch marker. This just helps you keep easier track of everything. You will need 2 of these sleeves, of course, for the other arm, and then I will show you how I attached it to the body. As you can see, I've already attached this to the body and have started my raglan stitch, but when you take your knit stitch marker, when you take your knitting needles out, you will have these active stitches right here, and you will put waste yarn in between the stitches so it'll keep them from unraveling. And then you will take your knitting needle and you will go through all the stitches. Leave 5. You need to leave 5 for the armpit area. This is your seamed area. So there's a total of 80 stitches on this body. You would leave 5 for the left side, you would leave 5 for the right side. So you would take a total number of 10. 80 minus 10 equals 70. 70 divided by 2 equals 35. And so you would need a total of 35 stitches up front, then the arm area, total of 35 stitches in the back, and then the arm area. When you get to the last row of your sleeve, you will have active stitches. You would take your circular needles and you would thread it through all the active stitches and then go all the way around. This ends part 2 of doing the sleeve and attaching it to the body. Part 3, I will show you how I started knitting the raglan sleeve and also how I designed the neckline. I will see you in part 3.